Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dhammaya, Namo Sanghaya. May the great silence and the great stopping pervade everywhere. So hello friends, and welcome to this live stream. This moment is a precursor, a necessary precursor for our awakening, our enlightenment, our progress on the path, in that it is a it is an opportunity to be mindful and not to attach, not to fixate, not to get stuck on one particular feeling in the body or one particular thought in the mind. There are many thoughts and many feelings or sensations in the body, and not just this body or that body, but um, for anyone, for everyone, everybody. There are many different thoughts, many different experiences. And the practice of meditation is to be mindful of everything, each and every sensation, each and every thought, each and every feeling, each and every subtle moment by moment experience. And that's a kind of natural access point for meditation. We may have an idea in our mind about meditation that, we put on some fancy robes and we go to a temple and or we listen to a guided meditation from a monk or a teacher, and we sit down for a particular period of time, and somehow we learn how to meditate, or we get into these deep states of meditation. And that may be true for some people at some times. But the way of meditation itself um, is not about a particular person. It's not about you. It's not about a particular place or a particular time. Meditation is being aware, which is already accessible to all of us. You don't have to do anything to be aware, just like you don't really have to do anything to wake up. You find yourself to be awake, or you find awakening to be there. You find wakefulness to be there, awareness to be there. So once we come across or realize that awareness, what do we do? Okay, I'm aware, right? Then what do we do? Well, we continue to be aware, which once again, it doesn't require anything. You don't need a mantra, you don't need a special meditation technique, you don't need a philosophy to continue being aware. But you do have to give some degree of importance to awareness itself. We can also call it mindfulness, right? There has to be a sense of importance given to mindfulness or awareness that at the beginning just overlays all of those sensations and thoughts and things that are happening around you or within you. And then we move slowly but surely with our intentionality and our willingness, right, to making awareness itself to be the most important aspect of this experiencing. And that is kind of like um, valuing silence. So that even though there are many sounds, could be sights as well, or feelings in the body, even though there are many things happening, the space in between those things happening is a precious treasure that allows us to go further and further within reality itself. You can also call it the mind. And we go, when we practice meditation in this way, we go into a state or a way, a process of listening. You're not getting anything, doing anything, being anything, not trying to go anywhere, not trying to get further, not trying to add or remove. Opening to listening. And a strong reaction that tends to come up when we move into a space like that is, well, that's not important. And this is because our listening is very surface level. And so we're moving into a space continuously of listening deeply. And what are we listening to? Well, we're listening to everything, listening to the universe, listening to reality, listening to the truth, so that it can be said that where is truth outside of this moment? Where is truth outside of this present moment? And instead of fixating on a way of interpreting that, or a way of understanding that, or a way of explaining that, you may take it as a point of questioning everything in your mind, in your experience, in your life. And once again, this questioning comes to a place of deep listening. Okay. During this live stream, it is all right for people to ask questions and speak up and share. Not trying to get anywhere here. So we have a question from Ashton B. Is there an inherent responsibility as a human to do good deeds? If so, is there a responsibility to have attachment to our responsibilities? Thank you, Bhante Sadhu. Well, let's put it this way. Sometimes teachings are so direct that they penetrate through ourselves. And when we don't have much of a relationship with listening deeply or a relationship to being willing to feel and experience awareness itself or silence, that means that we check out at that moment, right? And it's almost like we take a bitter medicine and then for whatever reason we just throw it up, or goes out the other way very quickly. So do we as human beings have an inherent responsibility to breathe? So much in the same way that for a human being that has an intention and a drive to live and to be and to continue being, whether or not it's intentional, breathing needs to be supported, breathing needs to be facilitated, breathing needs to be valued. We need to consider, are we breathing in smoke? Are we breathing in dangerous chemicals? Are we breathing in oxygen? And so, in the same way, for a human being that wants to live in a good way and be in a good way and develop wholesome states of mind, and also to unpack or to realize the wisdom that is within them, we have to prioritize and take very, very seriously, not just for ourselves, but for others. But the benefit to oneself is so incredible, um, to do good deeds, to be generous, to be kind, to be patient, to give our body, our mind, our possessions, our time, our consideration, our depth, our heart, um, in whatever way is accessible to us. And the more seriously that a human being takes breathing, the better quality of air that they will have, the more oxygen that they will have in their brain, the better the health of their body will be. They take breathing very seriously. And in the same way, to the degree that you or I or anyone takes very seriously and looks deeply at this, to be good and to do good, so also one will develop wholesome states of mind, good states of mind. And it's not just that we are doing something to get a result. It's not swiping on TikTok or YouTube or trying to get a girlfriend or a boyfriend or what have you, eating a cheeseburger. But it's actually a matter of systems change. So meditation is um, an aspect of a way of facilitating systems change. And what system are we talking about here? It is the system of the health and wealth of your body and mind, the health and wealth of the body and minds of the people that are around you, the body and mind of the earth. And when we start to be concerned with this and take this seriously, as much as it's up to you what you want to do. I'm not here to tell you what to do. Um, there will be more space in your life and in the mind and in the heart to listen and look deeply and to open up the willingness to be with what is already here. And what is already here is everything: the universe, reality, truth, the ultimate nature of the mind, the source is right here. What does that mean, the source is right here? Well, it means that this is where your heart is beating. This is where your mind is. This is where life is. This is also where death is. This is where everything is. So rather than thinking about or approaching it in terms of knowing things, I want to know about this, I want to understand about this, see it more in terms of developing your relationship with the essence of life, which is continuously changing, right? The essence of your experience is continuously changing. The aspects that arise and pass away are continuously changing. And it's said that the essence, the true essence, or the awareness, or the mind of the Buddha is kind of nearby that, deep looking, deep listening, where we have a chance to realize our true nature, or we have a chance to realize the nature of truth that is not possessed, that is not a thing, that has nothing to do with someone or someplace or some experience, whether it's a positive or negative experience. Okay, we have another comment, question from Not Brooks. Vulnerability and fragility seem to be almost horrific to Western audiences. Your hot chip challenge was a wonderful, direct example. What ways might one develop and work towards this type of response? I'm not sure what that means. So you may need to clarify that for me, that question. And when we start to go into the deep listening, what is noticed, maybe it's peaceful, maybe it's relaxed, maybe it's stressed, maybe it's anxious, maybe it's a thought, maybe it's a pain, maybe it's a pleasure, doesn't matter. It is the listening itself that we are flowing into. And this is very kind of interesting and profound, because this listening can go into and go through everything. So it in some sense, it gives us this position of independence in the face of anything, in the face of everything now. And that independence is a real source of transformation. It's a real source of healing and ending of stress and this kind of constant, mess of involvement and attachment and our lack of understanding. And wherever that attention is, wherever that connection point is, wherever that awareness lands on when you start to meditate, go through it. Really experience that. Let the body relax into that. And be willing, and this is the essential point of transforming our suffering and taking the direction of our life in the right direction rather than the wrong direction, is that it is a willingness to feel the suffering so that that suffering can dissolve and break down. This this may be very new to you. This perspective, this approach, this experience. And that's a good sign that there's something there to look more closely at and to begin to make use of whatever that thing is, that new or that noticed or that standing out experience that happens to be happening, to open to that instead of close to it. And that opening is not a rejection, and it's also not a grasping. It's not a chasing after, and it's not an avoiding. I appreciate your comments, not Brooks, and everyone's welcome to say hello or ask a question if you have one. This this teaching and this path, and whatever this is, I can't tell you what this is. It is what it is. So it is. It's exceedingly inclusive, right? That quality of openness to whatever arises, whatever comes up, and being willing to try and face and take care of whatever it is that arises without trying to destroy it and without trying to make it into something more than it is, but looking deeply, more and more deeply, to experience what it is as far as we can know. This is the inclusive nature that we can listen more and more deeply. We can be more and more present to what is already here. And then through that deep looking, right, we give ourselves that right, or we take that responsibility to look deeply at this. To then make a heartfelt consideration of how concerned with this do we want to get. Dalton says, "Hi again, Bante. If you don't mind me asking, how do you monks sustain yourself? Do you work in the traditional sense, like jobs or farm food or something else? Love from the UK." And what is this is a wonderful question to ask. Um, but I can't answer that for you. I can give some recommendations. I can share, my experience, but I can't tell you what this is. You have to not find out for yourself, but see how interested you are in asking that question. See how interested you are in looking deeply. Within, without, everywhere. Um, how do you monks? So we sustain ourselves through alms. We sustain ourselves through donations. We're beggars. Monks are essentially beggars. And we live through donations. We live through what is offered to us. We live through what is given to us by the people who believe in this path and this work. As simple as that. What is this, right? Well, what is this? Right? And we live in such a time, such a mind often that we're not really allowed to ask what this is. And if we do ask what this is, there's immediately someone coming up, rushing up to say, this is that. This is my idea of it. Reality is made up of things that correspond to my ideas and my concepts, my beliefs, my words. And it's not unusual that, one person could say this is a wheel, and another person could say this is an alms bowl, and those two people would fight. Or maybe they would both say it was a wheel, but one person said it was a wheel in Vietnamese, and another person said it was a wheel in Burmese. And now there's a fight about what this is. So the awareness and the questioning and the deep looking is a kind of internal conflict resolution that isn't based in words and phrases, not based in conceptuality. Interesting, right? To have an experience that's not based in conceptuality. This is really a guided meditation as much as it is anything else. Um, what is the role of analysis in mindfulness? Well, it's a kind of discarding. What is the because when when we don't know how to discard, when we don't know how to put aside something that arises, it means that we stop at what arises, right? It's like when we don't know how to go around something and continue, means when something appears and we hit that, then we go this way or we go that way. And in fact, what mindfulness allows us to do is go through that arising. And you can also sometimes, you go and then you go through. You need to move around something for that time being. The analysis is also it's in not getting caught up by, not getting overly involved with, not getting overly identified with. So we go deeper and deeper into the mind. Go deeper and deeper into awareness itself. Because a large chunk of our brain currently is almost like a tumor. And it's very, very energy hungry, right? So it takes all the energy and all the power from all the other parts of the brain to this one part of the brain that is, well, it's looking for something to consume. It's looking for something to understand. It's looking for something to grasp onto. It's looking for some position of solidity, something that's solid, something that's true, like the American dream, like Donald Trump, Mr. Trump. Okay? And the practice of meditation is a defragmentation of this, almost like a tumor, we could say a tumor in the mind that's draining all of this energy, draining all this attention towards consuming, believing in, attaching to, grasping a hold of. And this is the reason that you find that there are, in America, for example, there's not much spiritual development. There's not many spiritually developed people. There's a lot of academically developed people. There's a lot of materially developed people. Same with communities. There's a lot of materially developed communities. There's a lot of people who think, because of the culture that they grew up in, that somehow by consuming, they would get freedom, which limits the development spiritually and drains all of the mental energy and mental capacity that we need to look deeply and to understand the mind more deeply and to understand the Dhamma, right? The teachings of the Buddha, or even just to question, right? To start questioning things, to start looking deeply, and not just taking everything as what someone else told us it was, or what that thought came into the mind, and then that's the way that it is. Well, maybe it's not. So it's hard work, and it takes time. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of resilience. It takes a lot of fearlessness. And for myself, I've been practicing this way for quite a number of years. But in a sense, there's not really someone there. In a sense, in a certain kind of sense, um, you are not actually someone. And this belief that we are someone is, curiously enough, something that restricts us from transforming that habit energy that's there. Because we believe that we are someone that makes decisions, that is in control, that has these values, etc., etc. We are locked into this constant fixation on the importance of getting a hold of things, and our willingness to let go of things is very small. So how do we begin to increase that willingness to let go of things? Well, we practice generosity. We serve, we sacrifice, we give, we donate. We help others. Well, what is the moon based on? Excuse me. Dalton says, how can the conflict resolution of what is this not be based on conceptuality? What is it based on? Awareness? I can't conceptualize that. Yes, that's right. Cannot conceptualize that. What concepts is the moon based on? What words and phrases contributed? They paid their fair share to the moon being established in the sky, shining brightly. What concepts, what words, what ideas, what beliefs. And this isn't so much to be a critique of scientific analysis. This is to point to the hyper emphasis that is given within your own mind and the experience of yourself on words and phrases, on ideas, beliefs, narratives, concepts, conceptuality. So this is the work of disenfranchising a conceptual narrative. It's just there. And that is where uh, letting go takes place. And we allow the mind to decouple from things. We allow the mind to dissolve into awareness. We allow the body to just be there, the breathing to just be there. This is really an opening. We're not we're not, okay, we're not doing anything like that. It's an opening, it's a letting go. It's a dissolution, a dissolving of grasping, a dissolving of fixation with awareness, with presence, with the brightness of the mind. Just like the moon is bright, just like the sun is bright. Your mind is also, it has this quality of brightness, this quality of awareness to it. So we let all of those things dissolve into that quality of awareness. And the body is just there. And that thought is just there. And this situation is just there. There's nothing more to it. There's nothing more to figure out about it or solve it or get somewhere about, in regards to it. It's just there. It's just that way. This is just like this. You see? It's very profound, very rich. More rich than sitting across from Logan Paul. More rich than being the referee of Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. Literally. So it's no wonder that, a lot of people come around and then they scamper off, because it is so rich. It is so profound. It is so ultimate. It is so complete in its not thingness, in its non-separation. Okay. A question from Kai Rasa. Kai Rasa says, I am searching for a how-to manual. How to train my mind in meditation. Does one exist? I need a step-by-step process. Namaste. With a sickness, telling their parent or their mother or father that, they're sick and they want to get better. You do want to get better. You do want to get enlightened or understand about the nature of the mind. Me too. But you don't want the bitter medicine. You don't want the bitter medicine. You want starbursts. You want the best YouTube video you've ever seen before. You want more money, more power, more pleasure, more fame. You want more of what you want, and you want less of what you don't want. So I can't help you. Nobody can help you. Well, a drug dealer probably can. McDonald's probably can. Burger King probably can. So generosity is the key to the path. I'm sorry. I am. I apologize, really, because it's a shame. I'm an American. We know greed is good. I don't just want a Camry, I want an Audi A8. Okay? I don't just want a house, I want a mansion. I don't just want a bathtub, I want a jacuzzi. I want to live on a temple on a mountaintop with 1 gigabyte fiber internet and a jacuzzi, outdoor saltwater jacuzzi, something like that. Or at least an outdoor bathtub where it snows sometimes and it's a vista, it's amazing. You don't want to give. You refuse to give. You refuse to donate. You refuse to volunteer. You refuse to serve. You refuse to listen. You refuse to transform your suffering again and again and again and again and again. And you spit in the face of the opportunities to do so. And when someone comes along to trick you and lead you along and sell you cheeseburgers or sell you drugs or sell you some BS spiritual scheme, you are in for it. You love that, right? Yeah, oh yeah, okay, eighth chakra. Let's do it. This path begins with generosity. This path begins with giving. This path begins with serving, volunteering, donating. No wiggle room, no discussion. Just like just like when you go to Burger King or you go to McDonald's or you go to Wendy's, you order what you order. You want what you order. Success in the path begins with generosity. You will never get anywhere in meditation. You will never get anywhere in the development of wisdom unless you can start to give. Period. Period. And you have to investigate that. And even that, maybe that's too much. You have to investigate why you aren't giving. Why is giving for you such a problem? Why is donating for you such a problem? Why is volunteering for you such a problem? What is serving to serve to you? Why don't you have an active relationship with doing good deeds in your life? Why is doing good deeds some kind of floaty aphorism? When I say do good deeds more and more, why for you does that not mean anything? When I say give and be generous more and more and more, why is that so out there? So the path is really not about how do I figure out meditation? How do I get into a meditation retreat? How do I meet some guru that's going to scam me for a bunch of money and go around and buy Audi A8s and build temples on mountains? But why is my life why is my way of life so fixated on this body and this mind? Why do I take this body and this mind to be the most important thing in the world? And every action that I take is about moving this body away from those things that are difficult and trying to fill this body up with things that are pleasurable. It's a real, we really have to look at America and our culture and yeah, our history, but it's maybe a little bit overemphasized in a, an intellectual way, but we have to look at the basis of our society and the basis of our on greed and fear and anger and frustration. We have to start to question how we can dismantle the structure within ourselves and the structure within the way that we live our lives, okay, to start transforming this approach. The approach is wrong. When the approach is wrong, when the direction is wrong from the start, you're never going to get to your destination. So we have to start by stopping. We need to look at the direction that we are facing. The direction that we're facing in our lives, our daily life, our weekly life, our monthly life. Ding a ding ding, you might find out that it's all about you getting what you want and it's all about you avoiding what you don't want. Everything that you're doing. So that will never lead to success in meditation. That will never lead to success in cultivating wisdom. And that will never lead to success healing our relationships with the environment, with the people around us, and most importantly, healing the relationship that we have with ourselves, with our own body, right? Reconciliation. And it's in this way that the work can begin. The work begins with generosity, and the work ends with the realization of generosity. The realization of non-self, the realization of impermanence, the realization of the inherent unsatisfactoriness in grasping anything, everything. So if you want to be successful in your meditation practice, you need to start practicing generosity. And if you can do that, then we can talk. And if you need to take some time to think about what generosity is, or how you can practice generosity in your own life, you have all my support to do that. And let me know what you come up with. But don't just come up with something, go and do it. Go and help, go and serve, go and give. Go and volunteer, go and donate. Directly. Human to human. People to people. Human to animal, but to be direct. It's not, when we buy our YouTube uh, Plus subscription or something like that, we're not making a donation, we're just buying something. We're just trying to get what we want again. So generosity is not about you getting what you want. It's about you giving away what you already have that's valuable to you, that's precious to you. And that's where we start to get big and strong. Okay? That's when we start to develop spiritually, when we start to give. And once you start to do that, now you've got some access. You've got some access points. You've got some access points for releasing of fixation where value is, or where there's a bundle of kind of greed, right? And that is where the Dhamma can reach you. That is where we can start to talk about uh, the principles and the practice of a virtuous life, right? That if you want to feel good, you have to do good. But you can't understand that until you start giving. You can't understand that until you start donating. You can't understand that until you start volunteering, because at that point, you're just a machine of habit energy. There's no release point. There's no intention given to non-grasping, the releasing of grasping, the giving away of grasping. It's very profound to give. It's very powerful. And, this is how monks live their lives, through this principle, through this practice, giving out and receiving. And it's our only hope at building and developing and sustaining real spiritual community that's not interpersonally exploitative or transactional in nature, which is not the point. If you're going to a meditation center, you're going to some kind of spiritual retreat center, you're paying hundreds of dollars, there's all this transaction going on, that's not correct. If we can't pave the way with generosity, we cannot get wisdom. We cannot realize wisdom. And this generosity can completely change our psychology and how we work with one another and how we interact with one another, where our interactions are no longer based on expectations of exchange. No expectation means no reservation needed. You just show up. And then we can start to sit together, be together, look deeply at this present moment as it is, in such a way where it's not about a conceptual story of myself or yourself or the situation, but we can begin to share more and give more. What? Our experience, what we're interested in, what we have to offer, what we feel is important to us, feel is meaningful for us, what we feel is alive in us. And the context for all this is Buddhism. I'm a Buddhist monk. I'm a uh, someone who takes Buddhism very seriously. My whole life is built around Buddhism. And so, what is Buddhism? Well, we can ask that question. We can explore that question. But firstly, we have to develop our giving. What's Thanksgiving about? Giving. What's Christmas about? Giving. What's Easter about? Well, it's just giving, right? Jesus gave or whatever. What's your birthday about? Giving. What's election day about? Giving your vote. What is welfare about? Giving. What is economic disaster about? Giving. What is ecological work about? Taking care of the environment? Giving. So if giving is such this fundamental principle and practice in sustaining human life, okay, what are relationships about? Giving. What's love about? Giving. If this is so much at the core of what allows this life to work and to function and to flow, then why aren't we practicing that? Why aren't we building our lives around that? Why aren't we taking that with the utmost consideration and sincerity? Why don't we think about generosity? And why are we so restricted in the ways that we can be generous with each other, with ourselves, and in society? Right? What is birth about? Giving. You've got to give birth. We give those points of value in us, those points of pleasure, those points of wealth, those points of personal value, okay? We give diamonds, rubies, emeralds, crystals, sapphires. We give possessions, we give properties, we give money, we give skilled time, we give uh, our attention, we give our life sometimes. And we give up. Once we learn to give what's, we have, we can give, we can exercise that giving. And we give up, we develop a capacity to give up the negative uh, ways of being that we have. We learn to give up our practice of stealing, snooping. We learn to give up our practice of stealing, our act of taking what's not offered. We practice to give up taking intoxicants, taking alcohol, taking drugs. And this is the step-by-step guide. This is how you can have success in meditation, success in the spiritual life. Give up that sexual misconduct, how prevalent is it that drive for sexuality leads us to do things that harm ourselves and harm others. So it's a positive and negative giving, or an affirming or a increasing and reducing giving. We increase positive giving, wholesome giving, and we decrease um, unwholesome actions, unwholesome giving, right? Giving our desire, giving our greed, giving our anger. This is how we get success in the spiritual life and in meditation. Um, I don't have many thoughts on Dogen and Shobogenzo, but yeah, Dogen. Most people need a living teacher and to actually get like spiritual success and development, and they also need a living community. And what I've found as an American and as someone who's kind of come into all this without any cultural baggage or background in terms of the spiritual stuff, I found that I need a lot of variety. There's a lot of different deficiencies that I have in my spiritual life where I need to connect and listen to and experiment with many different teachers, many different styles of practices. Um, mostly in the scope of Buddhism. I have to try. I have to put myself out there. I have to stretch. I have to exert myself to be more and more involved with this concern with the path. So we'll finish with a guided meditation, Ashton, and this will be my answer to your question. All right. Eyes closed, mind open, breathing in. Clearly, the whole body is just like this already. And clearly, the mind is just like this already. As breathing is happening, the mind is just like this. The body is just like this. Breathing is happening. Breathing in, I am aware of the body being just like this. Breathing out, I more deeply accept that the body is just like this. Breathing in deeply, breathing out, accepting. Deeply accepting. Deeply accepting. Breathing in, the body is just like this already. Breathing out, the mind is just like this already. Breathing in, just like this. Breathing out, already. Already, just like this. Already, just like this. So this practice of meditation, dear friends, is a refuge, and it's not something that's done for a particular period of time. The breathing in itself is just like this already. And the breathing out itself is just like this already. Be kind, be patient, give